I hope you're just as excited as me, because in this video you're going to learn how to apply artificial intelligence with UiPath. The bot that we're going to build in this video is going to predict sales volumes based on the amount of advertisement budget. It's a really simple robot. We're only going to use UiPath and the UiPath Orchestrator, and everything you need is a UiPath Community license and a UiPath Enterprise Trial license. And I will show you in this video how you get the Enterprise Trial license. In this video you will build and deploy your own artificial intelligence model with UiPath. What you see here is that we have 4 columns. We have TV ad budget, radio ad budget, newspaper ad budget, and then we have sales. So those are the 4 columns. And the relation in this data is as follows. If you spend more ads, you will basically sell more. What we are going to do in this video is we're going to build a bot in UiPath that's going to leverage a regression model. And with that model, we can predict missing values. So let's imagine that we have only spent TV ad budget and then we have spent, let's say, 100 million. What would then be the sales? And by using artificial intelligence, this is something that we can do with UiPath. Now let's start by downloading this data. And for that, I'm using the following website. That's Kaggle.com. And on Kaggle.com, you can find so many useful data sets. This is one of them, and I will put the link in the description of this video. You have to log in to Kaggle in order to download it. And after you've logged in, you can click here on download. And after you've downloaded the data set, show it folder. I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to put it on my desktop. And I'm going to extract all. Let's remove this one. Okay, let's open the data set and I'm just going to copy paste this file. And then I'm going to call the first one. Let's call this training. And the second data set I'm going to call evaluation. Let's do it like this. This one I'm also going to rename. Okay, so now we have 2 data sets. We have a training and we have an evaluation data set. I'm going to use the first data set in order to train the model. And I'm going to use the second data set in order to evaluate whether the model fits the data. So what is very important is that you don't have the same data in those 2 files. And the data basically needs to be split arbitrarily. So let's open the first one. I'm going to open the first one with Excel. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the first column. So just click here and remove column A. And you see here the columns that we still have. And this is the training data. So the majority of the data should be in this data set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove, how many rows do I have? 201. I'm going to remove all the data from row 151. So from here, I'm going to delete all the data. Click delete. And then I'm going to save the file. So click File, Save in order to save this file. Okay, then I'm going to open the next one. Open with Excel. And in the training data set, I removed the data from row 151. And here I'm going to delete the data before row 151. First, let's start with removing the first column. So press delete. And then let's take all the data until 150, like this, and press delete. So as I mentioned, the evaluation data set can contain less data than the training data set because it's only for evaluation purposes. But anyway, it should have more than, let's say, 30 rows. So let's save it, press File and Save. Okay. So now we have 2 training sets, and make sure in Excel, it's very important that they are saved in CSV. Okay, let's now jump to UiPath. And if you go here to the 3 dots, it's very likely that you cannot see AI Center at this moment. And in order to make sure that you see AI Center, go to Admin. Make sure that you have enabled the new admin experience. So this toggle should be enabled. Then navigate to the default tenant or whatever tenant you're using. And you see here Services. And in Services, you have to make sure that AI Center is enabled. So just press here and click on Enable. And now you see that AI Center is enabled. So let's just go back to cloud.uipath.com. And now you should see AI Center here in the menu popping up. You see here AI Center. Okay, the second thing that is very important is if you go to Admin, Licenses, then you see here 60 days left. The first scenario, you have a community license, and you can use a community license as long as you want with UiPath. But in order to use AI Center, you also need an enterprise trial license. And you see here 60 days left, and that means that I've activated my enterprise trial license. If you haven't done that yet, then there should be a button here that says something like enterprise trial or 60-day enterprise trial. Click on that button, and that way you will get the trial license. Even after the trial license is expired, you can still use the community license, but you can only test AI Center for 60 days. Okay, let's go back to cloud.uipath.com. And then let's navigate to AI Center. Your AI Center should now look something like this. You see that we don't have any project yet, and we can create a project here. So click on Create Project, and let's create our first project. And I'm going to call this project Sales Data Regression. Click Create. And the first thing that we have to do is we have to create data sets. We already have 2 data sets. We have a training and an evaluation data set, but we just have to upload them. So click here on Create New. And let's call this one Sales Data Training. Click Create. And let's upload files. So now we're going to upload the training files. That's this one. Click Open. And click Upload. Okay, let's go back to the data sets. Click on Create New. Sales Data. Evaluation. Create. And here we're going to upload the other file. So click Upload Files. And let's upload the evaluation file now. Click Upload. Okay, so we now have 2 data sets. We have an evaluation data set and we have a training data set. The next step is to create a package. So go to ML Packages. And here you can find all the artificial intelligence models that UiPath supports. And you can as well upload your own models. So if you have created models in Python, you can just upload them. And there is another video on my channel that explains this process. For now, I'm going to go with an out-of-the-box package. So click here. And we are using tabular data. So you can find all the different data types that you can process here. For example, you can process documents, you can process images. But the data sets that we are using, that's tabular data. And basically all the data that you normally process in Excel, which has columns and rows, that's what we call tabular data. So click here. And then the model that I'm going to use is this one, TPOT AutoML Regression. You see that there are 4 models and you can classify them into 2 categories. The first category is classification and the second category is regression. Classification basically means that we're going to classify our models based on certain properties. For example, we can distinguish whether an animal is a cat or a dog. Regression means that we are going to predict a value based on a data set. So click on TPOT AutoML Regression. And here we're going to click on Submit because this is the model that we want to use. I'm also going to give my package a name. Call this one Regression Sales Data. And then click on Submit. So now we have a data set, we have an ML package, and the next step is to create a pipeline. So click here on Create Now. And in the pipeline, we're going to combine all the steps that we have made before. So the run type that I want is a full pipeline run. I want to both train and evaluate, so full run. The package is regression sales data. That's the one we've just created. Then I just have to go for the version. We only have one version until now, which is 1.0. Then the input data set, this is the training data set. So it's the data that is going to create the model. So click here on select training. And the second one is the evaluation data set. And that's a data set that's going to evaluate the model. So click here on select. Then the next step is very important, so please don't skip it. Click on configure, because now we have to provide the name of the column that is our target. So that's basically the column that we want to predict. And as you know, we want to predict the sales based on the different ad budgets. So the column sales is a dependent variable because it depends on the other variables, and the other variables are all independent variables. Select sales with the $sign, press Ctrl+C and copy it. Then let's go back and I'm going to click here on add new. And here I'm going to type target column. And here I'm going to paste the value sales with the $sign. Just make sure you cannot click on done here, and that's because you have to click on this verification mark here. So click here and you will see it appear, and then you can click on done. This step again is very important, so don't skip it. Then you can choose whether you want to train the model on a GPU, the graphical processing unit. For now, I'm just going to disable that. And then you can choose whether you want to run the pipeline now, time-based or recurring. And you also see here AI units 6. And AI units are basically units that UiPath uses to charge you based on how much artificial intelligence you consume and how much processing power you consume. So I'm just going to click here on Run Now. And basically in every trial account, you get AI units for free. So don't worry, you don't have to pay anything. Click here on Create. And then you should see here running. And I'm just going to press F5 or refresh my screen, because sometimes you see very soon that it's not running anymore, but it says something like failed. So just make sure that you refresh your screen, because in case it fails, then you also see that it has failed. You see, for me, it's still running, and normally it can take 5 or 10 minutes until you see the status completed. I'm just going to fast forward this video, and I will see you back when it's finalized for me. I see after 5 or 10 minutes that the status is successful, and that means that the model has been trained successfully. Let's navigate back to UiPath. And the first thing we have to do here is add the AI package to UiPath Studio. So navigate to Manage Packages, then click on All Packages. And the package that you need is ML Services, this one. So click on ML Services, click on Install, and click Save. And let's now add the ML Services activities to a robot. So search here for ML. And then you see here ML Skill. And the skill basically means that you're going to leverage artificial intelligence in your UiPath robot. So click on ML Skill, drag it to the center of the screen. The connection mode should be robot, and then you can search here for the ML skills. At this moment, you see it, we don't have an ML skill yet, and that's because in the orchestrator, we still have to add the skill. So let's navigate back to the orchestrator, go to ML skills, and click here on Create New. Let's also call this one Regression Sales Data. The package is the package that we have created earlier. The major packages release is one. Also here, pick the latest release, so 1.1. And I'm going to click here on Undeploy Skill after period of inactivity. Let's just make this one a month. And then click on Create. You see the status is currently deploying. Also refresh. And just refresh your screen to check whether any progress has been made. Also, this step can take a few minutes. And after that, you should see that the ML skill is now available. Let's go back to UiPath. And you just have to make sure that your UiPath Studio instance is connected to this orchestrator instance. And that's the orchestrator where you've also created the skill, the package, etc. Go back to UiPath, then refresh again. And now you should see your ML skill, regression sales data. This is the one you need. And if you click here on test skill, you should also see the format that is required in order to send information to this AI model. So let's do a test. First of all, let's go back to the files. And here you see the headers. And we only need to send data for those 3 fields, because of course sales is the one that we want to calculate with the AI model. So just copy this one. And let's go to Notepad. Okay, and the format that is required is this one, feature 1, feature 2, etc. So let's transform this one into a JSON string. So use the curly brackets. So this is the first one, and colon, and then let's say that the first value is 20. Then use a comma. You see a radio ad budget. Also put this between double quotation marks. And let's say that the radio ad budget for now is also 20, comma. And let's do the same with newspaper ad budget. Put it between double quotation marks. Put a colon here, and let's say that this one is also 20, and then close with a curly bracket. Okay, and what is important here is that this string is the input for one calculation, but in theory, you can also pass multiple calculations at the same time. And because of that, you have to put this, because this is the input for one element, you have to put it in an array, even if you don't use the full array. So press Ctrl A, Ctrl C, and let's put this string here. Click test skill. And then you find here the output. So in case someone enters 20, 20, and 20, you will see that the sales will be 7. And let's just go back to our data to just check whether that makes sense. So let's open up training data in Excel. So let's just check whether there is a line where the input values are somewhat the same, and whether the predicted sales value is then somehow equal to the sales value. And that line we can find on 108. So here you see that the input is 25, 11, and 29.7. you see that the output is also equal to 7.2. And that tells us that the model that we have created is working as expected. You can always expect a bit of deviation, but it should be close to each other. Okay, let's go back to UiPath and let's put the skill into production. So Control A, Control C this line, click close. Then let's go to the item. So here I'm going to press Control K, I'm going to create a new variable. Let's call this one input string. And let's go to variables. You see that this one is a string. Let's add a new assign. Let's call this one input string. And here I'm going to put the same string, which is this one. And one thing that's important is that you now escape the double quotation marks like this. So just put another double quotation mark before the double quotation mark. And that way UiPath knows that we are not closing the string with this quotation mark. So just let's put them everywhere, except for the last one, like this. Also put it here. And also let's put it here, click on OK. And you also see that the exclamation mark is now disappearing. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going to also add the output here. The output is in JSON response, press Ctrl K, and let's call this one output. And let's also add a message box to show the output. Okay, that's one about. And you get the output, you see it's 7.2. So let's try to change one of the variables here. Let's make this one 10, 50, and 100. Click OK. Run the bot. And you see that the output is now entirely different. With those inputs, you see that the sales volume is expected to be 8.8 million. And I really tried to make this tutorial as easy and as non-technical as possible. That's why I'm not going to explain everything about the JSON input and output. The only thing I'm going to say here, because there are other videos on my channel that talk about how to process JSON output, is if you want to get rid of the JSON type of format. So in order to get rid of the square brackets, what you can do is .Replace. And then you're going to replace this square bracket by nothing. .Replace. And you're also going to replace this square bracket by nothing. Click OK. And then you can as well assign the output to a double. Press Ctrl K. Output as DBL. And let's say here that this one is, let's open this one. Just paste it here. And then let's add here Convert.ToDouble, open parenthesis and close parenthesis, press OK. And then also change this one to a double. Then let's put this message box here. And now let's put output as double here, dot to string. Press OK, run your bot. And then you see here the value 8.81 and a lot of other digits. If you want to apply this model, I'm sure that you know how to add variables here instead of just hard-coded values. You can just put quotation marks here, plus signs, and then the name of your variable, for example, variable like this. This was my first video on AI Center. I really hope it was useful for you. If you face any challenges with this video, please put them in the comments so I can try to help you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you are just excited as I am about UiPath and AI Center. If you are, there is another video on my channel that explains how to use AI Center if you want to use your own Python model. If this video was useful for you, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I see you in the next video.